Hi, everybody. So, yeah, my name's Rob Galanders. I'm an economist in DCU Business School, and I'm the program director for our Bachelor's of Business Studies degree, which is on the CAO. When you go to fill it out as DC 111, and it tends to rock in at around 488 points, although there's always fluctuations year to year. So, any questions, slap them in the chat there, and we'll get to them at the end. I'm going to go through some of the basics of the course. So, why would you choose BBS? It's quite a broad degree. It gives you grounding in all of the kind of the fundamental areas of relevance for a career in business or as an entrepreneur. Um, we'll talk more detail about the content in a minute. And there's kind of two or three pathways through the degree. Again, we can talk about them at length, and happy to take questions. But simplest way to get through BBS, although not the way we do recommend, is do 1, 2, 3 years of academic study. But the other two ways to go are after you complete your second year, or rather in the middle of your second year, you make a decision that you're going to take our intro program, which you would have heard some of my colleagues talk about in relation to their degrees earlier on. It's a really great opportunity. Or something we have on BBS is an Erasmus option, whereby instead of doing an internship, you go and do another year of academic study in one of our partner universities in your third year. And we've a lot of really top class partners. As Brian said, I caught the tail end of his presentation. We have Ljubljana, relationships with Boston, Groningen in the Netherlands, a couple of places in Spain, Portugal, and Netherlands, and France, Germany, Brussels, and so on, Belgium, and so on. So it really is an interesting path taken, one that's increasingly popular, perhaps because we've all been stuck in our houses. The appeal of going abroad has gone up. So that's the kind of the three pathways through it. We tend to find that the students who opt to do either the intra or the Erasmus year do better overall in their degree. It's hard to know if that's a causal relationship or not. People select into this, but certainly it's something we strongly recommend doing. Get an extra year of exposure to the world of work, or to deeper academic study or further academic study. It's not a bad idea. Then you get into final year, whichever way you get there, and you choose one of our 6 specialisms, which I'll outline later on. And then another kind of, we think is a pretty cool thing about BBS and DCU is the strands we have running through the entire degree in terms of entrepreneurship, which is on the last bullet point there. So we've got our first year program in life, we've got our final year program in excuse me, in new enterprise development, and starting from next year we'll have a second year module called the Innovators Toolkit. So we've got every year there's a kind of a focus on kind of transversal skills and engagement with the objective of taking a business degree for most people, which is to go off and work in these kind of settings. The other things we have going on is critical thinking. We've got a first year critical thinking module running for the last couple of years. I was involved in developing this. I tried to think of it as cynicism studies, in a sense, to think more deeply about information and how information is presented to you, and how we can use bits of information. We think this is important, and it's so well received in first year. We're going to be launching a second year version of it from the next academic year onwards. We also have Business 101, which is designed to take away some of the fear people might have that they can't come and do a business studies degree if they haven't done business in secondary school or high school. So basic concepts of business studies, and just right at the start of your degree, to one of the kind of sprints, as Brian was explaining, to get you up to speed before you launch into the more advanced stuff. And then, life is really worth highlighting. It won all kinds of awards. Peter, who some of you might have listened to earlier on, and colleagues, Roisin Lyons, Catherine Flaherty, and others, developed that module, and it won all kinds of awards, very fancy, prestigious ones. And basically is just an exposure to different forms of business, from very small to very big, from family owned to multinationals and so on. It is a very cool course that we're very proud of. First year, as I said, you take on top of the kind of the business 101 and the critical thinking and the life stuff, you take kind of foundational courses in very important academic disciplines, that relate to all kinds of different jobs you might go on to do, and certainly set the scene for the study you're going to do in the later years of the degree. So there's economics, micro and macroeconomics, basic accounting and marketing modules, IT skills, psych, maths, which is very important for economics, finance, and accounting. And actually, there's been some updates. The the law offerings are making way for new management modules from next year on. In first year and in second year, the business law that's advertised there will be making way for the critical thinking 2 module. So as again, I was happy to catch the end of Brian's presentation. It is a kind of a dynamic place. We're always trying to innovate and improve on our offerings, and we don't like anything to get stale. So, you know, even in this year of all years, we're still trying to make improvements going forward, so that we offer a kind of up-to-date, you know, globally cutting edge business studies education. In second year, then, you know, there's more development of kind of basic, not basic, but foundational ideas kind of make way for more advanced ideas. So after doing, for example, doing your economics modules in first year, you want to take industrial economics in second year, which is kind of a closer look at how markets are organized, how industries can function differently depending on the number of firms and the regulation that surrounds them. That's one example. And we also have important modules like classes like ethics, which is a very important thing in business. Finance comes in there, and so on. So that's what year 2 looks like. So then you make your choice about what way to go. So as I said, you can go straight to final year, or you can do intra or a year abroad. In final year, maybe take that option, because you will all end up doing final year one way or another. We have business strategy, new enterprise development, which is our kind of bring together everything you've learned so far and think about how you would use it to start a new business module, which is very cool and very popular. And Eric Clinton, who leads it out, puts a lot of time and effort into it. And cool Dragon's Den event to end that one every year. Again, a consequence of our desire to update and innovate. Global issues in business and economics and market research are not part of the core of final year anymore. They're making way for a 2 new classes in management, as we, you know, management is a very important thing for a business degree or for a career in business. And then you pick a choice of specialism, which we'll talk about in a second. So that's final year. Intra, we can talk about it again. If anyone has questions, you would have heard some of my colleagues talk about it a few times by now if you've been in all the sessions this morning. It's very cool. The intra office is great work, and I was very, very, very impressed that they were able to find a placement for almost everybody who wanted one at a time when, in fact, I think they found one for everyone at a time when COVID was running roughshod over the economy. Intra is a great idea, and it's something we're very proud of. And then, yeah, study abroad. There's all kinds of places you can go. I mentioned them earlier on. I think this is a great opportunity to broaden your horizons a little bit, and then come back to us with a deeper sense of what you might want to do. And that's one thing about the intra program. As a kind of even if you end up hating your placement, it can be very useful to you. I remember talking to one guy. I said, are you glad you did your intra year and worked here? He said, yeah, because now I know I don't want to work here. I don't want to work in this field for the rest of my life. So he used the intra experience to figure out what he didn't want to do. And he changed his choice of specialism in final year to reflect that kind of learning he'd picked up in his intra year. So intra is a good idea. Study abroad is a good idea too. And then you get to final year, you must pick a specialism. So this is where the choice comes in. Up till now, we've kind of had a set menu of courses. Here you pick a bundle of modules on top of the core stuff I outlined previously. HRM, human resource management, business economics, finance, marketing management, and business analytics is coming in soon. By the time you guys get to final year, certainly. And this is just an opportunity to go deeper after you've done your intro, after you've gotten to know yourself a bit better, after you've had exposure to all of these things. Where do you want to develop yourself, your skills, what area do you want to go into? So again, just because I'm an economist, I'll talk about the economics one. In business economics, you take kind of advanced economic theory, econometrics, which is the application of statistics to kind of economic and social phenomena to try and figure out causal relationships. You take our new class in innovation economics, which is very cool, and not something I think that many other Irish universities are offering yet. And international economics, which is all about trade flows and exchange rates and things that are very, very important if you want to pursue a career in kind of, well, any career in business will, exchange rates and trade flows will be very important. So that's the kind of thing that goes into business economics specialism. Another thing about business economics is if you take that specialism, it does qualify you to go on and seek a further qualification in teaching, because you could teach business and economics at secondary school level. So that's one perk of taking that specialism. Intra, where do we have partners? Well, this is a very small subset, but it reflects the kind of the quality of the partnerships we have. As I said, I've never heard anyone say they regretted taking the Intra program, even if they said they didn't particularly like the job they did. They see the value in learning what's not for them, because it can be costly to correct your path, increasingly costly to correct your kind of career path as you get older. So it's good to figure it out at an early stage. Where our graduates go, well, again, this is only a very small subset of the places they go, but again, they go on to work in finance, in industry, in Ireland, outside of Ireland. And one thing that's not up there, because it's a little harder to track, but I just know from chairing the program for a few years, is that a good number of our students go on to take master's degrees at very good universities. As I said, some people go on to be secondary school teachers. So it really is a degree that opens up a lot of possibilities to you. And there's many, many ways you can use the skills you pick up in your time with us to go on and make a kind of a positive difference in the world of business and in society in general. And that's kind of all I have to say. I'm happy to take any questions if anything was unclear, or if you want further detail on anything. So Caroline, maybe you rejoin us.
It's Ciara. Rob, how are you?
How you doing?
Very good. So we have a couple of questions there. The first one there from Gary: for work placements, who arranges these? Same question for studying abroad.
So we have a dedicated Intra office in the university, and there's a procedure and a kind of a structure to finding placements. So early enough in second year, you'd have a meeting with a kind of a session with myself and a colleague from the Intra office to talk through that procedure. The basics of it are you deposit your CV on their system, and you kind of harvest offers and interviews that way. And it's kind of similar to the CAO. If you get your top offer, you have to take that. That's just to make sure that we have a kind of a smooth matching of people. So there's CV and interview skills kind of sessions, and the Intra office have a portal and a huge list of partnerships that we can draw on. As I said, it is remarkable how well they do at finding placements, even when the local economy and the global economy are in fairly tough straits at the moment.
Very good. Next question there, Rob. What subjects are available if you study abroad in the third year?
We're not overly prescriptive on that, because what you're swapping out is the Intra year, where you don't actually have any mandated courses. We're not too picky as to what you take. So someone who went to the Netherlands last year elected to take 5 of his credits in Dutch art, and that was fine by me. Other people elect to go much closer to their kind of core curriculum of business studies, and that's fine too, as long as you take a kind of a 60 credits worth of high quality university education at the partner you go to. I'm reasonably happy to sign off on anything. It's the experience of it rather than developing your business study skills that we think is particularly valuable in that.
Very good. I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this, Rob. How many places are reserved for DARE applicants?
I don't know. I'd say we have to find that one out.
That one out.
DARE office.
No problem at all. The next one then, how do you expect the accredited grades to impact on the points?
I don't have any idea on that. I mean, I think memory serves they were reasonably stable last year as opposed to the year before. But then there was a process. I mean, if you think about it, the points are all supply and demand. So when they pumped extra places into the system, that would have had a supply effect that might have counteracted the demand effect. So I don't know is the rambling answer I'm giving.
I don't think anyone does, Rob, so
No.
that's okay. Next question there. If you don't get the points for the course, what would be the best second option to put on your application form to get into the business school?
To get into the business school, I think a lot of our programs come in at around the same points. I think international business is similar. It is possible to transfer. Useful. I caught the tail end of Brian's presentation because I know someone else was asking this about kind of transferring within the business school. Yeah, transfers within the business school are possible and they happen. Quite often they happen from people who take international business and decide that maybe the language isn't right for them, and we're more than happy to welcome them into second year of general business studies if they pass first year of international business, including the language. So you have to pass to progress. The second best course you could put in to get into the business school, I mean, evidence and anecdotal evidence and hard evidence suggests that don't start any college course that you're not interested in, because you'll find it very difficult to engage with it if it's just not for you. So I would fill in the CAO in terms of courses that you're actually interested in, rather one that you think you might be able to survive in first year with a view to transferring in second year. But transfers within the school are possible.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Rob. We actually are out of questions. They're all a bit shy. Oh, one just popped in. Do you believe that marketing is a common sector for job prospects for this course, or would it be better to choose a course such as Mint?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our we have a tremendous success rate in our graduate employability. Kira, you might remember that figure off the top of your head. I can't.
97%. Yeah.
So finding jobs doesn't seem to be a problem for our graduates. As to whether you would do better in the particular field of marketing with a Mint degree versus a BBS degree where you specialize in marketing, can't really say, because it's not my particular domain of academic expertise. I do think that getting a high classification for your degree is generally seen as the most important thing, rather than small variations in what type of business degree you've taken.
Yeah. God, the questions are flying in again now. Is the accounting module hard if you never did it before?
I don't believe so. I don't think there's any prerequisites to have studied accounting, or certainly for economics. Say you would almost prefer it if you don't take economics at the Leaving Cert level, and we have you fresh. And I think it's probably much the same for accounting.
Yeah. Next question there. What would you recommend to specialize in if you wanted to do private equity or venture capitalist?
Probably finance or economics.
Very good. And final question there. Is there much number of work? Oh, I'd say that's many hours of work in the course, I'd say they mean.
I'm looking at two. I'll give you my two interpretations of that question, because they're both excellent questions. So, is there much number work in the course could mean, is there much mathematical work? I would be and there is some, but we have a maths course in first year, and also we have the Maths Learning Centre, which is a fantastic resource that's there to across the university to help students who might not be as comfortable with mathematics as they are with other parts of the curriculum. And then, is there much number of work in the course? We could also maybe interpret that as Kira did, in terms of many hours of work in the course, and maybe the questioner can correct us if neither of those are the correct interpretation. Again, Brian's answer was, it's hard to say. The most technocratic answer to it is that, you know, the course is 60 credits per year. 5 credits equates to 125 hours of work, and traditionally about 24 hours of that would be lectures with maybe some more tutorials depending on the class. But I mean, I think it's important to recognize that university is designed to be a full-time endeavor, and that it would be very hard to do more than a little bit of part-time work on top of a full-time university education.
Yeah. Final question then, how many places are in the course?
I think we generally take in about maybe close to 200 a year, but I can't remember off the top of my head. It fluctuates a little bit, and you know, the supply and demand of the point system tends to reach a nice, well, not a nice equilibrium, but reach an equilibrium that most people seem to be reasonably happy with.
Good. Oh, another question. Can you choose your own work placement for Intra?
You can, yeah. If you want to find your own placement outside the Intra system, that is totally fine. There are certain requirements that are needed to be fulfilled if that's to appear on your transcript. You know, it's the 4 years to appear in your transcript. Basically, it's just you get the Intra office your contract, and they okay and say this is of sufficient duration and a sufficiently serious job to count.
Very good. And will the extra places be still there this year?
I haven't heard. I would think so.
Yeah.
I would hope so, certainly.
Yeah. Is there requirements to get into the course? Well, yeah.
Yeah, there are. They've fallen out of my head, but they should be in the prospectus. I think there's a maths level, an ordinary level of some stripe that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it will be in the prospectus, and maybe we can dig that out and put it into the chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Rob, I'm just back. It's 04H6.
Sorry, Caroline?
It's 04H6 in maths.
There you go. Thanks, Caroline.
No worries.
That is brilliant, Rob. I think that's it then.
Great. Well, I hope to see lots of you in September or October join us. And even better, I hope it's all face-to-face. So thanks for your attention, and do drop us a line if you have any more questions.